Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel and to today's video where I'm going to take you through a free resource that you can see in the middle of the screen about the financial reporting. That's the F7 ACCA exam paper that I'd recommend that you use to pass your exam. My name is James. If this is the first time you've ever clicked on one of my videos, I'm an ACCA qualified member from the UK, and on my channel I help out accounting students and also ACCA students pass their examinations that they have coming up. So if that is something you'd be interested in, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you get access to all of my free videos, because I dedicate all of my videos to my lovely subscribers. And as you can see on the screen right now, Hiloni kindly left me a lovely message on a previous video that she thought was very good. Thank you very much, Hiloni. So today's video is dedicated to you, and if you find value in the video, and be sure to give it a massive like and thumbs up. And as ever, thank you so much for all of the support to the channel. So pleasing to see that all the videos are helping you out to pass your exams wherever you may be around the world. So make sure you share them with friends. It's definitely going to help with my insights on here. Now, the first thing is, as you can see on here, maybe you're watching this after June 2022. Well, first of all, do not panic. It's okay if you are watching it afterwards. The tips and tricks that we're going to go through, along with the exam tips at the end of the video, still definitely apply to your examination. And if you are watching it after June, I'll just show on the screen where you can actually see the update. So if you click the link in the description of this video, it's going to take you directly to where you can access this document. And if you just go and scroll down all the way to the bottom, it gives you a nice little summary of changes. And as you can see on here, just replacing some of the actual ways in which it's actually worded. So there was really not much on here, and I doubt there'll be much in the future as well. But it just means that at least you can see where the changes have made. Now, I can hear what you're saying as I sort of just scroll through there going, oh my word, James, there's quite a lot of stuff in there. Please tell me you've been through this document and you've highlighted all of the key areas that I need to know for my financial reporting examination. Would I let you down? Gosh, would I let you down? And be sure to leave me a comment what you actually think of the video as well, or if you've got any other requests, and be sure to give it a big like as well so more ACCA students can see us, because I've done my little analysis of the actual syllabus and study guide. Make sure you've got a pen and paper ready. We're going to walk and talk it through as quickly as possible, and these are the points that I'd be picking out if I was in your shoes to help you out. So first of all, if you weren't aware, it was previously known as the F7 paper. So if you actually see any old texts or lectures online, that's what it's referring to for financial reporting. Now, the key thing here is, if you've already done, which you should have done before this exam, your financial accounting and law paper, if you've got time before you're actually sitting the exam or you're starting tuition, go back through some of your notes, especially for financial accounting, because we'll come on to it later, where the ACCA team highlight that the core knowledge in financial accounting is absolutely critical to passing your financial reporting exam, with a few key areas from the law exam put in there as well. But I'll show you how it all flows in. And the other key thing I get noted down in is that this exam follows on to your strategic business reporting. So do not throw these notes away. Make sure you come back and have a look at these videos as well, because if you've only scraping through financial reporting, that will really sort of give you a few real tough times when you're actually coming on to SBR. So make sure you keep your notes for financial reporting. The pass rate on average is about 50%. All the questions are compulsory. So what that means is, for every 100 students that turn up to do this exam, 50 pass it. So very, very tricky. But if you watch to the end of this video, I'm going to take you through all the key aspects that could be the difference in getting you those marks to be in that 50% to pass. So first of all, coming on to the first page on here, we've got the actual intellectual levels now. And it's just so we're crystal clear on here that there is a big jump up comparing the financial accounting, the management accounting, business technology papers you would have done before. So expect a higher level of knowledge and application you're going to have to do in this. Now, in this document, it has sort of levels 1, 2, and 3. And I've noted it down here, for example, on number 2. But what you should go to is just scroll down to the detailed study guide to pages 12 to 17. And on one of these, this takes you through all of the details within the actual syllabus. But what it's referring to there is, can you see the little 2s? If I maybe just highlight one on there. There you go. So that's the 2 in terms of the level of detail. So for this exam, the majority of it is going to be 2s, with SBR that you go on to is going to be more sort of 3s. But there are still some 1 elements where, if we go back up to the top of the document now, that just tells you need knowledge and comprehension of that particular area. And then you've got application and analysis for level 2. So in other words, if you see number 2 next to it, you've got to have more detailed knowledge. There are lots of areas about learning hours and education recognition. I always get asked, how long will it take for me to actually study for financial reporting to be competent before the exam? I'd say a minimum of 3 months. It's a really tricky subject. Plus, you need to have a good core understanding before your SBR exam, which the knowledge leads on to. It also touches on here that some lower level skills can be continued to be assessed, and that is why your prior knowledge, especially of financial accounting, the F3 paper, is so key. So if you've got a week or two before maybe you start tuition, go back through, have a look at some of the technical articles online, and actually just try and build up on that knowledge so that when you start with your financial reporting, as you can see on here, so you are here at financial reporting, financial accounting nicely leads onto it, and then that'll lead on to SBR, as you can see on here. Now, carrying on through the actual document, the pass mark, if this maybe could be your first exam, maybe you've got a couple of exemptions, the pass mark for this exam is 50%. There are 100 marks, and I know you're probably thinking, oh, I only need to get 50 out of 100. Trust me, this is a tricky 50 to get because only 50% of students actually pass it as well. ACCA and the team here continually say that the exam will contain a mix of objective and longer type questions, which I'll show you later on into the video which sections they will fall into. It's a 3-hour paper with 10 minutes of reading time at the start to go through the instructions and 100 marks on there, as we talked about that you need 50 to pass. Other key areas to highlight on here, you don't have to worry about any of this. That was all about the strategic professional level, so that links into the SBR exam. You've got to apply your knowledge to the business scenario. That is absolutely critical, especially for section C, if you want to get that written down. In the examination, we'll talk about the allocation of minutes per mark, and you have 1.8 minutes per mark. So as you can see on there, 180 minutes for your 100 marks gives you 1.8. And this is where you'll be assessed on everything from the student's technical and application skills. So yes, you've got to have the core knowledge, but then you've got to apply it to the actual business scenario that you'll have in this exam. Time management, the external examiner writes about this all the time in their reports and did again in the 2021 report. Time should be taken to ensure that all the information and exam requirements are properly read and understood. This is particularly key for sections A and B if you want to get it down in your notes, because they are marked by a computer. So if you've got the wrong format or you've not met the requirements of ticking the number of boxes, you will get it wrong on there. So just to be aware of, because ACCA continues to encourage students to read questions carefully and plan answers. So the planning of answers here is for section C, where you have control over it and it's marked by a marker. Coming on to the guide to the ACCA examination assessment now, and just to highlight, we'll be coming on to particular areas that can be assessed and will be assessed, but you can't question spot in any other areas of the syllabus. Anything can come up, whether that's something you read in the technical articles, through your syllabus, past paper questions we'll come on to later. And if you haven't watched my video on where all the free resources are, I'd highly recommend you get that down in your notes to go check it out. I walk and talk you through all of the key areas that I'd be reading up on before my examination. If there are any updates to the syllabus, as we talked about before, they come into effect from the actual September sitting. So maybe you're sitting this in September, then just go and have a look at the boxes at the bottom. There are only 3 adjustments there, but the real core technical areas really don't change for this exam. So that's why this document and the updates of it will always be helpful. I touched on other videos on the channel as well, going into the examinable documents. That video talking you through all the free resources is an absolute must. There's so many resources on there to help you pass that so many ACCA students don't go through and use. So it's to your advantage to go and watch it, write it down in your notes, and I'll put it in the description of this video below so you can go check it out. I touched on at the start of the video that you need to have some good core knowledge of the actual corporate and business law exams. That's the LW paper F4. But the key one is financial accounting, the FA exam. And the ACCA team, as you can see on here, if you haven't watched one of my videos before, all of the key things are underlined and highlighted. So students are expected to have underpinning knowledge where it will be useful to review previous learning before undertaking the studying. So in other words, if you only got between 50 to 60% in your financial accounting examination, I would definitely recommend you read through some of those notes, because this is a big step up and you need to be really understanding that core knowledge. Right, this is really important now. The approach to examining the syllabus, and if you need to get it jotted down, pen and paper, take a screenshot. Again, we've got that 1.8 minutes per mark. How you're going to be tested both computationally, so that is calculating, and then discursively explaining what that means. In some questions on here, you're going to have a scenario or case study, so actually referring back to, and a really good exam technique here is to start getting into the habit of writing down the company name or the individual on there. You've got 30 marks in section A, 30 marks in section B, and 40 marks in section C. If you want to go through the actual introduction to this paper, again, we've got more videos on the channel, so be sure to check that out. I go through it in a bit more detail. But in other words, you've got 54 minutes for section A, 54 minutes for section B, and then you've got 72 minutes for section C on there. A and B sections are multiple choice marked by a computer, whereas section C is marked by a marker. Now, this is, as you can see on my notes on there, note down this exam technique. The marker and the external examiner tell you that the 20 marker questions in section C will be about the interpretation and preparation of financial statements for either a single entity or a group. So you have to know how to do those. You are going to be tested on them, so make sure you get that down. And I highlighted in yellow on there, sections A and sections B can cover any areas of the syllabus. So the more you cover, the more question practice you do, the better prepared you're going to be. Coming on now nicely onto the different subject areas of the syllabus, so there will be overlaps on this, so you don't expect to just have in section A maybe financial reporting or the financial statements. It can be testing on absolutely anything, and then noting down on there an understanding of accounting principles and concepts and how these are applied to practical examples will be tested. That will be tested in A, B and C, the majority in section C for that. We've also got on there, and I've put a step up from financial accounting in F3 to highlight it again, but think about this, the ACCA team have written in this document questions on topic areas from the FA paper will be examined appropriately in a greater depth, so you have to have a better knowledge of it, and the standards from IFRS that you need to know about, and the actual principles is, well, what are they needed for, why do we actually issue them, the principles behind it, and what are the key elements. So if you got tested on anything about the actual IFRS standards, those are the key elements that you need to know the answers to, that you could be tested on, because they'll come up in the actual syllabus, and this is nicely broken down here. As you can see, A, B, C, D and E. So if I scroll down, I'll come back to it, don't worry. So these are the key areas, A, B, C, D and E, and then we'll come up to the top bit in a second, but there's a nice little flow diagram on there, how it all links in. So maybe this is your first exam, maybe you've had some exemptions before, a really helpful diagram to show how it all sort of interlinks. And as you can see on there, if you want to get it written down in your notes, section C, analysing and interpreting the financial statements, I'd probably say expect to see some of that in section A and in section B, and definitely in section C on there, because those are the key main capabilities you need to have. And another good thing that from an exam tip point of view is maybe you want to get your study folders and label them actual syllabus area A to E, separate them all out, and I'm going to walk and talk you through all of the different areas that will fit into those different letters on there. So this takes you through a nice introduction to the syllabus. Again, if you want to pause the video, read it through in your own time, have a look through the actual notes. But identifying in the question, do we have a company or do we have a group, is really key for this examination. Understanding and applying, again, is one of the reasons why students will pass this examination. If you can't prepare financial statements of individual companies or groups, and then you can't also analyse and interpret those financial statements, you will not pass this exam. They are the core aspects that you need to be really competent about, and the examiner again has highlighted in that top paragraph, and I've broken it down into the 3 key areas for you on there. We also have on here analysis and interpretation, so you're going to have ratio analysis to contend with, and then the final bit on part E saying that these skills are specifically developed, and this is for the employability skills on there. The computer-based exams are available via the practice platform, and these are available on ACCA's website. the more of these you do, the better prepared you're going to be. So get that in your notes as well. To be doing, log on to ACCA's website. I'll put it in the description below. Check it out. It is definitely going to help you. Now, I wish I'd actually put if you can print this page out for number 10, but remember how we talked about earlier, syllabus areas A to E? Well, this is where, here's A, B, there you've got C and D and E, but this nicely breaks it down that all the key elements that you could be tested in syllabus area A, so recognition, measurement, and then coming on to the actual transactions in financial statements. So if I did a question on financial instruments and I got it wrong and I wrote down why I got it wrong, well, I put that in my syllabus area B folder under the actual financial instruments. It keeps it all together. I'd print this out and I'd go through and check it off one by one. But as we touched on before, we also have a detailed study guide or detailed syllabus. And what that does for you on here is, say the conceptual and regulatory framework for financial reporting, and you've got the first one on here, or maybe recognition and measurement, and you think, well, what could possibly be coming up in that area? Well, there's recognition and measurement. There I've highlighted for you syllabus area A, and then these are all the different elements with those number little 2s or 1s on here of the level of detail that you want to go through. So I'd use this and say to myself, well, if I go through this and I walk and talk it through and say, can I explain the objectives of consolidated financial statements? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, brilliant, move on to the next one. If the answer is no, well, okay, I need to head back to my actual syllabus and work out what that actually means. And it's nicely broken down here. I put the little red lines as to say that is the cutoff, because as you can see on here, it goes, there's part 3, cut off on C, then you go up to the top, so C, D, and then there's the end of it there. So that part is syllabus area C, and then this part here is now syllabus area D. Just to be aware so you don't get them mixed up on there, can be easily done. Now, we've got the summary of changes on there, and as I put, not much has particularly changed compared to the previous year, but it's just something to be aware of, and really I wouldn't expect there to be too much unless there are particular changes in standards on there. But that nicely leads me on to the actual final sort of financial reporting exam tips to help you pass on there. And the first one is that we touched on earlier at the start of the video. If you have enough time before you start your actual revision or going through your actual tuition at the start of all this, revisit your financial accounting notes for F3 and read the financial reporting, that's the F7 exam that we're talking about now, the technical articles. The reason for that is it will tell you any updates in the actual syllabus from the technical articles, and it will tell you about any other topical areas. Really, really helpful, especially if you're trying to grow your knowledge for that particular area. Next, we've got in part 2, so just to highlight again that sections A and B are marked by a computer, section C is marked by a marker, so that is where you have control in section C for those sort of half marks, and if you've got any workings down there, own figure marks carried forward. So show as many workings as possible and write as much as you can relating back to the requirement. Being careful with your time management, because students tend to find in this, so if you want to get it jotted down, section C the hardest. I've also done on the channel a how to pass the financial reporting exam video, so be sure to check that out on there, because the CBE practice platform, along with past papers, also previous exam questions using the core text, and in the description of this video I put all the recommended texts that I'd be using if I needed to pass this exam. So again, feel free to check those out. They are going to be critical to get you through this. And then also on here, don't try to question spot. Really understand the syllabus. So I agree, yes, for section C, we've got to know those single entity and groups, but for sections A and B, which again can be the difference in failing or passing this exam, you've got to know a lot of different areas on there. So it's just to be crystal clear, so you know absolutely everything from a transparent point of view and what I'd be thinking about going through it. And again, I highlighted on this a lot more in my how to pass financial reporting video, but don't try and question spot. Just try and learn and absorb as much as you can, and if you have any questions, refer back to the technical articles, or feel free to leave me a comment on this video on there. So that brings us to the end of the document. I hope you found the video helpful and you got plenty of notes down. I'd really appreciate it. Give the video a massive like and thumbs up, and as ever, thank you so much for all your support to the channel. If you've got any questions or comments, or let me know what you thought of the video, leave it below. I answer all of them. And be sure to share this video with any study buddies or friends on there. They'll definitely find it helpful, along with subscribing so you don't miss out on any other future videos. What I've done for you is, as a final treat and to help you out, if you look on the screen now, there are going to be a couple of videos on there. If you click one of them, they're going to be all about financial reporting and could lead you to getting those final marks to get you that 50+ and to pass your examination. Well, on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers.